Hey, this is Keto Jim. Hope you're having a fantastic day. This video has been long awaited. I actually made a video, had put up pictures kind of promoting it, and still doing the editing and everything, it just came out terrible, so I'm redoing it for you guys today. The Cornish Pasty came from originally the Cornish area of England, a lot of mining towns, mining areas, which is really good for some home cooking. And really what this is essentially a portable, handheld, if you want to call it handheld, beef stew in a little pouch. It is, you'd think of it kind of like a samosa. Kind of looks the same but completely different. It's in a puff pastry style type of thing. It's fantastic tasting, and we're gonna get to cooking it. We're gonna use our fathead pizza dough, modifying the fathead dough a little bit so it's a bit crispier, a bit flakier, and gonna do a simple beef, mushroom, and onion mix that's gonna go into it. It's probably the most classic, simplest way. You can have steak and onion, that type of thing. I'm just using some ground beef, some mushrooms, some onion, and a little bit of basic instant gravy that is low carb, and that's pretty much it. Let's get to cooking. Alrighty, well, first things first, we're gonna make our basic dough, and it's basically about 3/4 of a cup of almond flour. I'm just gonna be literally ad-libbing this just because I'm so used to using almond flour. This is actually ground almonds, so it's a little bit coarser, which is actually gonna be a bit better for us for the flakiness in the crust. We use about 3/4 of a cup to a cup of almond flour, and instead of straight up mozzarella cheese, it's roughly about a cup of almond flour to 3/4 cup of mozzarella cheese. Instead of doing straight mozzarella cheese, we got a little bit of mature cheddar, so we're going to use that along with the mozzarella cheese. And like I said, I'm just going to be very rough with this. It doesn't have to be super exact. I'm literally making one giant Cornish pasty for you guys. You guys can separate them up if you want. And yeah, we got the almond flour, the cheese, and then a little bit of cream cheese, about a tablespoon. And then we just microwave this. Just do that. Easiest way to get it out. And then we're gonna microwave this and get it all melted, mix it through, and then we have our dough. Okay, we have our dough kind of mixed up and warmed up. So now we're gonna start getting our onions, our mushrooms, and our meat cooking. Just put a touch of butter in the bottom of the pan and one small onion. This recipe I'm going to do is about 2, maybe even 3 Cornish pasties. But like I said, I'm just gonna make one big one for you guys just to show you how to do it. It takes a little bit of practice to make smaller ones, and the big one is impressive, and it's just me cooking today. So might as well make one giant pizza instead of a bunch of small ones. Same basic idea. We got our onion, that's gonna cook away. Add in a little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper. A main thing you do not want to do is add in a ton of seasonings, because the onion and the mushroom and the beef stock gravy, that type of stuff you put in, that's going to be all the stuff you really need. It's a very, very Moorish, very hearty, warming meal, and it's really nice on a colder day. It's pretty warm now, but like I said, I'm redoing it for you guys so you can. Our onions and mushrooms have kind of cooked through pretty well. I'm going to add in our beef. Just about a pound of meat here for this, but once again, I'm repeating myself. This is just a big thing for about 2 or 3 Cornish pasties. I mean, the last one I made, I literally did about 4 from. But I'll show you guys how to do this. And kind of like let this cook through. Kind of mix it in, keep chopping it up so the meat is nice and loose. And then we'll add in our gravy here in a little bit. Okay, now we're just adding in our gravy that I made. And just a basic instant gravy has about 2 carbs per serving. I'm using about half a serving there. A little bit more water and a little bit less actual granules. And just do that, kind of mix that in and let it simmer through. Let the meat completely cook through. And while we're letting that happen, just form out our dough and our pasty. A little pouch to put this into. Okay, our meat is pretty much cooked. We have our dough that's been kind of heated and melted through and mixed up a little bit. The major difference between this and like a normal fathead pizza dough would be just no egg, no baking powder, no salt, pepper, or anything. It's just very plain, but pretty much it. Just gonna lay it on there, gonna dry my hands off since I just got them wet from all the cheese grease. And now, going to just slowly kind of just spread it out. Okay, we got this guy nice and warm. Not super hot, but enough to where you don't want to touch it too much. And then we put our fathead dough there. Get this out. And then we're just going to take this with a slotted spoon. Obviously, this is a big size piece of dough. You can cut it in half and then do little pouches, kind of like a more classic size Cornish pasty. But like I said, I want to make a big one, and then I got a lot of leftover meat I'm going to be having for later. That's pretty much it. About one, maybe 1.5 slotted spoonfuls. And then we just take the dough, just roll it over on top. Hopefully you can see this. And just kind of fold it into itself. Just like a calzone, just like a pasty, just like any type of pouched bread, you know, dough type thing. Make sure we get everything all nice and fitted in. And that's a major thing you don't want to forget to do. Just make sure everything's poked in, and you want to make sure the dough, when you do this, is a good and thick amount, because if not, it's going to tear as you're trying to move it around. And then obviously you have the, you know, your meat mixture kind of leaking down through everywhere, and that's not very good. So this is the easiest way, and you can see it's a nice big calzone Cornish pasty. That is a man-sized one there. And we're going to put it into the oven for about 15 to 20 minutes, and that's going to completely toast it all through, and it's going to be fantastic. Alrighty, a bit different than most people expected probably, but you just gotta be careful with the baking paper just because it's a bit crispy. It's not really what I wanted, but let's see here. What are we going to do? Alrighty, here is the finished product. It is a beautiful, obviously crispy, brown, lovely. A little bit of a burst at the edge there. I didn't realize it when I put it in, but looks fantastic as is. And that's exactly how you want to do it. You just really, the main trick to this is to have a hot oven. You want the oven very well preheated, probably better than the broiler. The oven's just not working right now for me today, but you can't beat some actual crunch on the keto diet. It is hard to replace that, you know, that crunchy pizza crust, that pastry, that, you know, potato chips, that simple, just basic crunch, you know, that you don't get that really on the keto diet too much. You have to kind of, you know, experiment and elaborate on some things, but this is perfect. It's a very fantastic home-cooked meal, and I'm gonna have this. It's kind of a knife and fork type thing for me. I always liked it a bit more, just kind of a sit-down thing, but you can make them to where you can have them in like a little bit of a pouch, wrap them in some newspaper or something like that if you really, really want. But obviously with the gravy and with all the other meats and everything, it is gonna be a bit wet. So it definitely is something you wanna have kind of a bowl or try out a couple times in the first place to have it on a plate. Anyways, I really appreciate you watching. I hope you like it. I hope you enjoy. If you like any of my videos or you wanna get some ketogenic coaching, get in touch with me, ketogenicgym@gmail.com. Give a like and subscribe. Pretty much you want to get a hold of me in any type of social media, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. It's all Ketogenic Gym. I know I've been kind of lacking in my videos lately. I'm trying to get into a couple more things. I'm trying to expand what I'm doing, and also really bad internet. But hopefully in the next week, I'll have some more updates on that, and I'll get something a bit more steady. But until then, I appreciate you guys watching. You have a great day. Thanks a lot.